everybody, I'm glad you're here today. Today is March 7th, 2024. This is a red alert video. I am bringing you things that are setting off my tripwires, and I want to hear what's setting off yours right now. Now then, these are things that I've noticed this week that I'm like, just taking some mental note of that and going, that's different, that's weird. I want to tell you what the propositions were that were on the state of Texas's ballot. When I left the voting booth, y'all, they gave me some sample ballots, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to share this with the people on my channel because these ballot, Democrat, Republican, and I'm going to read to you. It kind of shows you where the state of mind of the Texas government is. So it's kind of a clue. All right, so I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening with the cattle, with the fires in the Texas Panhandle. I live in the Texas Panhandle, so I'm smelling the smoke. That's how close I am to the fires. But, every once in a while, but not every day. This is fire weather for us. March is windy. This is normal. Not this normal to be this big. So that's a discrepancy, but y'all, this happens up here from time to time. I'm not going to go into the conspiracies of it, although I love things like that. I'm just going to try to stay away from that in this video. Hang on just a sec. And I'm going to talk about, New York. What's happening in the subway in New York City, y'all? I've been in the subway of New York City a few times, so I've got an idea about how that rolls down there. So anyway, going to talk about that. I'm going to bring you a word from June 8th, 2023. All right? And I don't think you're going to want to miss it. Now, lest we forget, I want to remind everybody, if you remember January 2020, everything's going fine. My life was rolling good. It was not until March 2020 that I started going, what's going on? Y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? All right, we're 4 years from it, but lest we forget, we do not want to become complacent, or just let that fade away, because I had never heard the term essential worker in my lifetime until March 2020. It was March 2020 that my husband and my daughter, who both were deemed to be essential workers, received papers that they were to carry with them all the time in case they were pulled over by the police, being asked why they were out or why they were crossing the border into the next state. That happened in my life. I saw it with my own eyes. That you talk about tripwires and red alerts, man, that set off alarm bells like crazy. Do you remember that by May 2020, we were wiping our butts with coffee filters? Do you remember that? And happy to have them? Do you remember that? There were people doing that, y'all. I have toilet paper hoarded. Not hoarded, but I have a store right there. I can see it. Y'all can't see it. I'm not going to show you. But as I was looking up there the other day, I came across this. Y'all, in 2020, I was labeling my toilet paper. This is what I labeled. B-Team toilet paper. Now, I don't know where I got this, but it was some brand that I was thankful to get. But clearly, it was not Charmin. It was not Charmin Soft Mega Roll, which is my go-to toilet paper. That's our family's preference. And as far, we can afford it now, so dadgummit, I'm buying it now. But there was a time when I couldn't even find it on the shelves. So I didn't want to mistake this as Charmin. So apparently I labeled this is B-Team toilet paper. I guess if something happened to me and I died of the virus, at least the family would know, hey, this is a last resort kind of thing. And then we go to the coffee filters. I guess that's what we were thinking. I don't know. But we cannot forget that we lived through that. Tell me what your experiences were. I could go on and on and on. I've made a video about that a long time ago. But, we need to remember that happened in our lifetime and not long ago. Not long ago. If it happened once, it can happen again. I believe that. So, that brings me to, y'all, I told you what, I wrote all this down. Y'all, if I wrote down what I'm supposed to talk about in a video, then this serious stuff. All right, let me talk a little bit about what's on these ballots. All right, so I went to the voting booth. Well, I went to the voting place. Y'all, we know everybody. It's really nice to see everybody there. Like, hey, catch up, you know. Esther was a volunteer there, and she was explaining this to me. I've known her for decades, and I was like, okay, so there's a Democrat ballot and there's a Republican ballot. Now, if you will look at both of these, let me make sure I do apples to apples here. All right, so this is the Democrat ballot and this is the Republican ballot. If you can see over here, there are propositions. But whoever voted Democrat didn't get to see the state propositions. Now, I don't know all there is to know about voting and ballots, so I am not an expert, so y'all need to know that. Here's the backside. Here is the Democrat ballot backside sample, and here is the Republican ballot sample. All right? Do you see the difference? There's a difference. We got the people who declared themselves as Republicans. Now, I understand how primaries work, all right? But we got to vote on propositions, and anybody who declared it as a Democrat did not. If you know why that is, please explain it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a legit reason. I'm not all in a lather about that in and of itself, although I'm like, well, okay. Now, here's what really got me, though. Not the whole Democrat-Republican thing. You know, I'm not into the politics anymore anyway. I'm just like, I think it's a bunch of lies. So, but I still vote. So, here we go. And plus, I got to see Linda and Chris and Esther. And I got to see a lot of people and give them a hug. And that was nice. So, but anyway, here, Proposition 6 on our ballot says this. The Texas legislature should prohibit the deployment of the Texas National Guard to a foreign conflict unless Congress first formally declares war. Now, all before that, I'm going to show you this first check mark is where I'm reading. All of this has to do with border control and illegal aliens, all right? So, I mean, that's kind of old, yeah, yada, yada, yada. But this, Proposition 6, the Texas legislature should prohibit the deployment of the Texas National Guard to a foreign conflict unless Congress first formally declares war. All right? That was kind of interesting. Now, here's Proposition 7. The Texas legislature should establish authority within the Texas State Comptroller's Office to administer access to gold and silver through the Texas Bullion Depository for use as legal tender. What did you say? I mean, I'm not joking. I had to read that one like 2 or 3 times. Mainly because there was an older woman that they were having to read the ballot out loud to. So I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot listen to that and read this at the same time. But anyway, I'll read that again. The Texas legislature should establish authority within the Texas State Comptroller's Office to administer access to gold and silver through the Texas Bullion Depository for use as legal tender. Okay. Is that what we're doing now? Okay. Next one, Proposition 8. The state of Texas should ensure that Texans are free to give or withhold consent for any vaccine without coercion. Coercion. Y'all, I'm sorry, my R's. Forgive me. Y'all know I got a little bit of a speech impediment. Without being coerced is what that means. So, yeah, that's self-explanatory. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. We're still doing that. Okay. That's kind of how I felt about that one. Now, that gold and silver one, I was like, I've never even heard of the Texas Bullion Depository. Like, where is that? I'm going to be Googling that here in a little few days. Okay, if y'all know, let me know. If you work there, even better. I would love to hear more about this place. Now, here's this other one. Let me see. It's kind of hard because it has a watermark on it. Proposition 10. The Texas Constitution, The Texas Constitution should be amended to restore authority to the Texas Attorney General to prosecute election crimes. H, yeah, I kind of feel that way about that one. Okay? Now, Proposition 13 is Texas. This one was weird. I was like, oh, when this was the very last thing I voted for on the little machine thing. It said, Texas should ban the sale of Texas land to citizens, governments, and entities from, oh, I don't know if I should say these countries. These are countries, I'm going to spell these countries or else I'm going to get flagged and shadowed. I just am, y'all. Okay, governments and entities from China, Iran, North K on that peninsula over there, and the Bear Country. Texas should ban the sale of land to citizens, governments, and entities from those 4 countries. That's the last thing. There you go. You can look at it. I don't know. There you go. Because I don't know, y'all. When I say when I say things on this channel, man, oh man, I get flagged or I don't even know what happens. So that was weird this week. I was like, And people who were Democrats in our state never even saw those propositions on the ballot, which I found odd. I don't know where I'm going to put this. I'll put it down there. I'll probably find it next summer. Okay. Now, so that was odd and that was interesting. And that was something I thought you would think was interesting. Did you see anything when you went? Did you go vote? And did you have anything that you were like, huh? What are we doing here? This is weird. Nothing on our ballot had anything to do with secession, which has been on the ballot before. I have seen that. But so that was interesting. Who knows? I don't know what the future holds. God does, and we're just in his hands, and we'll just roll with that. All right. Now, there's a lot of things I don't know in the world, so y'all need to know that. When it comes to like the fishing industry or people doing stuff on the East Coast, West Coast, those kinds of things, I don't know about that industry, and so I'm very ignorant, and so I don't have I don't understand numbers or shortages or anything like that in that regard. I do understand cattle a little bit because I live in cattle country, and we're an agricultural community. And we've got feedlot that way full of thousands and thousands of heads of cattle. And we got a processing plant this way that processes 3 million pounds of beef a day. 3 million pounds of beef a day is processed at this plant 10 miles down the road from me. Now, when you hear these numbers of the cows that are dying in the fires, and it is tragic, and that's a heck of a lot of money that they're losing, and I'm sure they have insurance, y'all, so it's all going to work out, but it is sad. Like, I saw a thing on Glenn Beck going, oh my gosh, 10,000 head of cattle burnt, be ready, prices are going to go sky high. That may very well be true, but let me put this in perspective for you. One day processes 5,000 head of cattle at this processing plant. One day. So in one day, 5,000 cattles, 5,000 cows go through that plant and are butchered and boxed. So 10,000 cows is 2 days of work over here. That's not that much. Do you realize how many cows we have here? How big Texas is? The tragedy with the fires is not the cows dying, although that's not the highest tragedy. It's the grassland being ruined. That's the tragedy. That's the hurt. because it's going to take a while for that grassland to come back so you can graze cattle. That's what's going to pinch us, y'all. In Texas, by itself, the state of Texas eats 10,000 cows a day. The state of Texas eats the equivalent beef, 10,000 cows a day. So when 10,000 cows die, that just means Texans have to go without beef for 2 days. So I don't know what you want to do with that. I know what I do with that. And you, I'm sure there's repercussions from it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But I wanted to share that with you to put it in perspective so you don't get all nervous about beef shortages and things like that. Because 10,000 head of cows for here is yeah, that hurts a little bit, but y'all, the amount of cows we have is massive. The amount of grassland we have is massive. Massive. So just keep that in mind as you hear the media come out with these numbers. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I will just say there is a book that's come out that's called The White, let's see. The White Rage of Rural America, or something like that. Okay. I should have written that down. Okay. Anyway, it's like the White Rage of Rural America or something. The book, when I looked at it on Amazon, I was like, man, this is a sorry book. I don't know. I had 27 reviews, but they're interviewing on mainstream media these authors who are saying in this book that it is rural America. To me, it is the beginning of the campaign to silence and put us down in rural America. So they're saying that we're the ones who have the phobias about all the different sexualities and genders, that we are the ones that are believing the lies of the conspiracy theories, that we are all ignorant, that we should not be allowed to vote, and we are a threat to the democracy of the United States of America. That is what this book, and I wish I had written down the title, but forgive me, if I were a professional influencer, I would have, but I didn't. So y'all, that is the beginning. The fact that anyone is even listening to these authors is like, I think Ben Shapiro might have done something on it. Mike Walsh might have done something, a little thing on it. I'm like, do you know who feeds you? Do you know where your food comes from? East Coast and West Coast? It comes from us. You wanna get rid of us? All right, get used to going hungry. That's how I feel. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I know that. But heck, I know what to do when a chicken's sick. I know what to do when there's cows eating my stuff in my front yard. I know how to get rid of them. Y'all, I know how to butcher a pheasant. I mean, I'm just a housewife. I mean, I know I'm surrounded by people who know how to do things that they can survive. Shoot, I've got illegal aliens around from Mexico and Guatemala. Those people know how to do stuff. They are phenomenally educated in how to survive. Heck, I've got my neighbor over here, Hugo. He's got a goat in his backyard and a turkey right now. And they're loud. And the city manager lives right across the street from us. I know what Hugo's going to do with that goat and that turkey. He's going to eat it for Easter. I'm like, go, Hugo. You do it, man. Unless he's keeping the goat for milk. He might be. I don't know. Y'all, we got to keep going here because I'm going to run out of time. All right. In New York City, They have deployed 1,000 New York National Guard into the subway to do checks on purses and just security checks on people. Like, you got to go through that. I find that like, what? Now they're saying it's. I'm trying to hear. I hear this noise. I guess it may be my dog. They're saying it's because that there's too many people with guns. There's too many people that are a threat, the crime and everything. We got to shut that down because it's happening in the subways. And I'm like, is it? I don't know. Okay. So that was a little bit of a red flag to me. I was like, okay. That's odd. All right. Now, Proverbs chapter 22. Y'all, I'm sorry. This video is going to just be long. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. Are you prudent or are you a simpleton? I know you're prudent or you wouldn't be watching this. So that to me, I'm like when people are like, I'm just going to do nothing and pray. Okay, so I remember when I kind of went on that rant a couple of videos ago. Anyway, this is just one of the many verses that say, hey, y'all, you need to, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. Even if it's B-team toilet paper, y'all. Okay, now I want to read this to you before we go too long. Because this is really pretty to the point. Okay, June 8, 2023. This is what I wrote down while I was in worship, visiting with Father in prayer. I said, what do I tell people, Father? What do I tell people? Tell them this. The time has come to rise up and become the children I intended them to be, mighty warriors among my worldwide army. These positions I have for them will stir the spirits of those around them. Many will be saved. It is not a game, my life for them. It is not a casual pastime. It is not a show. It is a battle against evil for which I have already won, and all my children have won, and yet the enemy seeks to destroy until the end of time. Be not dismayed, for I am coming soon, and until I return, wear my armor. And know the enemy has no power over you. The choice is yours, the choice is theirs. Who will bear my name? This war is not fought by throwing angry words at others. No, children. This war is fought by falling on your knees and allowing me to lift you up in love and mercy. Fear not the enemy, but know his ways. I am a God who rescues. Cower no more in the corners of this world. Stand through the power of my Son's death and resurrection. Do not be afraid. Do not be silent. Let my mighty power flow through you. And then he said some other things that I don't really want to share right now, but I will share this with you. Going on, I asked, is there anything else, Father? And he said, get behind me or get out of my way. And I said, man, that sounds a little harsh, Father. He says, woe to those who hear and know me, but do not follow, for the pits of the evil one are being prepared to devour them. And then I kept asking, tell me more, Father. He said, then hear this, get behind me or else you will die. I cannot say it any simpler than that, my child, for there comes a time in one's life that there is no more hope, and I hand them over to their own evil choices. And let me remind you, sitting and doing nothing is as evil as killing my children. So you ask, child, what shall we do? My son's hands are there. Grab them and let him pull you up. Get dressed in my armor. Who will dress you in this, you ask? My Holy Spirit. Lower yourself upon your knees. Humble yourself, and I will be the one who gives you all you need in that moment to stand. My power and not your effort. You need only grab the hands of my son. And I said, what? Is there anything else, Father? There is a time coming, in fact, it is here, when you will no longer want the syrup and sweet teachings of my body that weakens it to the point of vomiting. They know not how sick they are. No, the time is now. Get up from the table and come to the bread of life, the water of the living, and see what happens. That is what I wrote down. And that is what I share with you today, regardless of all this other stuff, this red flag stuff that we need to be alert about. That is what we need to hang on to. Our God is mighty, and He's bigger than this, and He knows. He already knows. It's already all right because of Him. If you are a believer and a follower of Jesus Christ, then you will be covered by His peace and love and safety. And when you breathe your last breath, the choice that you made here will stand, and you will go to heaven. If you do not follow Him and you breathe your last breath, you will find out what's there for you, and you will, I don't know what happens then. It's not pleasant. That's all I have, y'all. I'm going to leave that with you. Stay safe, America. Stay safe, Texas. Hold the line. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.